Every nonprofit has to be a business today.
Yeah, she rang the bell. Thank you, Paula and Jorge. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Clemson. We humbly acknowledge that we are occupying the ancestral land of the Eastern Band of Cherokee and Southern Iroquois. Good morning. My name is David Sanders, and it is great to be here with you today. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm a member of the UU Fellowship of Clemson's Worship Associate Team. I'm also the chair of the Solar Project Team and the Planned Giving Committee. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. Whatever your skin color, whatever your class background, whatever your range of abilities, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, wherever you were born, whatever language you speak, you are welcome here. We are so glad to have that you have chosen our fellowship as your place of worship this morning. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're a visitor and would like to stand and tell us who you are, I invite you to do so now. And I'll grab a mic. We do have one special guest, and as part of our presentation that I would like to bring up. Rick?
Thank you. So I'm Rick Joy. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes.
So I'm Rick Joy. I'm with Sustaining Way in Greenville, South Carolina. So we're a nonprofit there. I actually work at Michelin, so I'm the founder of Sustaining Way. But work at Michelin, North America. Been there 25 years. Undergrad chemical engineering. So Dave and I have that in common. Graduated from Clemson, both my undergrad and master's in business administration from Clemson. Wanted to commend you all for what you're doing. Wow. Just even being here, and Dave for inviting me, and just the leader, Bill was talking here to me about, we need leaders that in the faith community to lead, and you guys looking at doing this, and I know you've still got a little ways to go, and you gotta go through the process, but just looking at leading with your faith, living out your faith, and demonstrating that in action is beautiful. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for Dave for organizing this and leading it. I know it's not easy. I was telling him, I'm at First Baptist Greenville. Been working to try to get solar and various things there, and we've done a lot of good things. We have a green team there, but it's been a challenge there. So still working there to lead there. We have as part of back to Sustaining Way, we have a resiliency center that we've been putting in place in Nickeltown. Anybody that's familiar with Greenville. So we have that in place with solar. We're working to get the battery back up on. We don't have yet, but we're working to get that and get funding in place for that. We're also putting in a resiliency center in New Washington Heights, which is another historically marginalized community in Greenville. And so we've got about half the funding to do that as well. So we're in the process of doing that. We'll be adding the solar and again add the battery back up as we get the funding in place. Let me see what other things I wanted to say here. Sorry. Yeah, so we were, as far as Sustaining Way, who we are briefly, so we are really focused on building a sustainable, equitable future, really looking at the neighborhood level. So we're looking at just being in a part of the community and building community within that community, getting to know the community and building that community up. That goes through education of adult and youth development, collaboration with partners. We have over 80 partners. I was mentioning to Dave that we partner with the Greenville Unitarian Universalist. We were their project when they were going through their green congregation. So they worked with us at that time. And really just everything that you need. What do you need? You need food, water, shelter, just the basics. Working with the community to be able to do that in a sustainable way. Okay. So that's pretty much what we do. We're here to help, so anything we can do to provide support. I gave a handout to Dave on resiliency centers that kind of summarizes the basic summary of what a resiliency center is and what it can provide. It is a journey, and a big part of that is getting the solar and battery back up in place. I know you guys were hit hard with Elaine. We were as well. All of our kind of mission work from our church out in the community pretty much went on hold for about 4, 5, 6 days. And if we could have had that battery backup to be able to still serve the community, it would have been a different story. So it really, I know you guys saw that too, it really highlighted the need for this type of thing. And of course you guys know that this is going to be happening more in the future. So we're going to need to be prepared and be able to serve our community. And having a resiliency center is really essential to be able to do that. It's the starting point. And not only to serve this congregation, but to be able to go out into the world and serve the world as well. So anything we can do, we're here to help. I did put a flyer on the outside that has QR codes. So if you want to connect with us or follow us, we're on pretty much every social media. Feel free to drive me afterwards. I'm glad to do that. But thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Rick, and we're glad to have you here. And we would have had Rick stay for the question and answer part, but he has to leave promptly at 11:30 because of another appointment. So thank you for joining us. All right, after the service, we will gather for coffee and social connection in the social room, so please join us. If you're interested in receiving our weekly newsletter, so you can remain connected to our community, our weekly sharing of joys and concerns, and our collective efforts to support local social justice work, please reach out to the office by email on our website. And I also want to extend a special welcome to our online visitors. A few announcements we have today. Today is a special service, as you may have noticed. It's being presented by the UUFC Solar Project Team that marks the kickoff of a 3-month capital campaign to install solar here at UUFC. We're following a slightly different sequence from our usual order of service. For example, rather than a sermon, you may notice on the order of service, there is a series of reflections that will, a series of reflections that will be offered by some members of our project team. We will also have a Q&A session as part of the service. And to allow time for the Q&A, we project an end point of the service at 11:45, so 15 minutes longer than our normal end time. Another announcement, are you interested in Buddhist principles and thought and want to learn more? Jean Malmgren has graciously said yes to a request that she lead a class on Buddhist principles at UUFC. The group would meet approximately once a month, the date and time still to be determined. If you're interested, please contact Renee Mandola, and she's actually going to be at social time in the back when you're ready. Today at noon to 2:30, there is the UU&U. If you have not already signed up for that but are interested in learning more about what it means to be a member of UUFC, please contact Nancy Johnson or Karen York to see if there is still room to attend today. Next Saturday, March 8th, this coming Saturday, we will have a spring work day and pizza lunch. Outdoor cleanup, bring clippers and tools. We'll also be removing the cypress tree in the middle of the front patio. Contact Meg Williamson and let her know that you're coming. And then on March 16th, we will have a solar open house with Preston Johnson, who joined us from Earthwave Renewables. He'll also join us on the question and answer period. So stay tuned for that. That'll be during social time. All right, now is the time that we have our chalice lighting, and I invite Talia to come up and light the chalice as we look in our order of service and read the words of affirmation that are printed there. Join me. We gather together in the spirit of love with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another. And thank you, Talia. Now Karen will bring our time for all ages. What? Sorry, I did not put that in the script. We jumped out of order, as every service we do here. There's something that doesn't go exactly as planned. And one of the other differences for this service is we're not going to ask you to sing anything. We're not going to have any hymns. But our choir, instead of an opening hymn, we have a special presentation from our choir. So please join the choir.
This little light of mine used to be too scared to shine. And when mine met yours, it would run and hide. But in time, I came to find I want to shine so bright it makes the whole world smile. And take back the beautiful feeling that allows me to be whatever I want to be. And I'm gonna be free and easy. This little light of mine used to be too scared to shine. And when mine met yours, it would run and hide. But in time, I came to find I want to shine so bright it makes the whole world smile. And take back the beautiful feeling that allows me to be whatever I want to be, and I am gonna be free and easy. This little light of mine used to be too scared to shine, and when mine met yours it would run and hide. But in time I came to find I want to shine so bright it makes the whole world smile, and pay back the beautiful feeling that allows me to be whatever I want to be, and I am gonna be free and easy, free and easy, free and easy.
Now it is time for all ages. Thank you, Karen, for presenting that.
So in keeping with this morning's theme, our story this morning is Iqbal and his ingenious idea, or how a science project helps one family and the planet. Written by Elizabeth Sunby, illustrated by Rebecca Green. Iqbal and his friends stepped out of their school and into the rain. Not a light mist or even a steady downpour, but gusts of rain that whip across your face and make you squint your eyes. Monsoon rain. "Hurry, Iqbal," called his sister. Sadia stood clutching her umbrella as she waited at their after-school meeting spot. At home, Iqbal and Sadia's mother stirred a pot of rice, a baby swaddled against her. "Sadia," said Amma over the baby's raspy cough, "please take Rupa to the veranda. The smoke is bothering her." Iqbal sat down beside his mother. "Amma, my teacher told us the theme for this year's district science fair. It's sustainability. We have a month to come up with a project that's good for the environment. There are cash prizes for the winner and the runner-up." From the veranda, Sadia overheard her brother and yelled out, "Iqbal, let me be your assistant, then you'll win." Amma chuckled as she shooed Iqbal out the door. It was the holy month of Ramadan, and he was meeting his father for evening prayers. As Iqbal hurried off, Amma muffled a cough. Day after day of breathing smoke was making her and the baby sick. But during the monsoon rains, she had no choice but to cook indoors over an open fire. After the family's evening meal, Amma rested. Tomorrow, she would need to take Rupa and go out to gather firewood. Their supply was low. As Amma dozed, Iqbal's father whispered, "I saw a special stove in the bazaar today. The man selling it says it uses propane gas so it doesn't create all the smoke that is making Amma and the baby sick." "Can we get one?" Iqbal asked. "We don't have the money," his father said with a sigh. "I wish we did." That night, Iqbal fell asleep to the sound of rain drumming on the tin roof. But soon he was awakened by Amma and Rupa's coughing. He tossed and turned, worrying about them. To distract himself, he tried thinking of a winning project for the science fair. In fact, he thought about the science fair a lot in the following days. He imagined inventions while walking to and from school. He sketched all sorts of gadgets in between classes. He conceived contraptions when helping Abba in the rice paddy. He dreamed about devices before and after his daily prayers. Finally, he came up with a winning idea. He would build a stove that didn't produce smoke. At school the next day, Iqbal explained the idea to his teacher. They went straight to the computer in the office and typed in "smokeless cooking." Up popped articles about solar stoves that cook with the heat of the sun. He learned that solar cookers don't pollute the air. They also save women from having to collect wood and cook over dangerous flames. Iqbal realized that Amma could use a solar cooker during Bangladesh's 5 sunny seasons. And with the prize money, Abba could buy the gas stove he saw at the bazaar to use indoors during the monsoon season. Iqbal brought home the best articles he could find about how to build a solar cooker and started reading. "Let me help," said Sadia, grabbing a couple. "Remember, I am your assistant." Within seconds, Sadia exclaimed, look at this! Solar cookers made from cardboard boxes covered in foil." Iqbal didn't look up. She tried getting her brother's attention again. "Iqbal, these stoves use the sun's heat." And again, "Iqbal, are you listening to me?" He wasn't. He was too excited by his own discovery. "Here's our winner, Sadia, a solar cooker made from an umbrella." Every family they knew had an old umbrella or two that had been broken by the gusty monsoon winds. To make their umbrella cooker, Sadia and Iqbal removed the handle from the biggest broken umbrella they could find. Abba gave them the money to buy foil to cover the top of the umbrella. And since the dark colors hold heat best, they borrowed one of Amma's old soot-blackened pans to cook in. Now all they needed was a few sunny hours to test their invention. But it rained the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. They wondered if the rain would ever stop. Finally, it did. The first day that the clouds parted and the sun brightened the sky, Sadia and Iqbal bought eggs at the bazaar and raced home. They carefully positioned the foil-covered umbrella to catch the sun's rays, placed the pan inside, and waited. And waited. Iqbal sprinkled a drop of water into the pan. "Not ready yet," he said. He counted slowly to 50 and tried again. The bead of water skittered across the bottom. "It's hot," he exclaimed. Sadia cracked an egg on the edge of the pan, and it slithered into the middle. They watched and waited some more. "Look," Iqbal yelled. "Amma, come quick. We are frying an egg for you." A couple of weeks later, it was the event Iqbal and his classmates had been waiting for, the announcement of the science fair winners. The students lined up behind their projects. One of them had won first prize for the entire district, but who? Was it Rashad and his experiment to reduce soil erosion? How about Tariq with his wind turbine? Maybe Rafi had won for his compost container, or Iqbal for his solar cooker? The principal entered the room and began his speech. "Thank you, students, for all your hard work." Iqbal's heart pounded. The principal continued, "One student has come up with a particularly ingenious idea. He saved a broken umbrella from the garbage dump and turned it into a fried egg." The class giggled. He went on, "Smoke from cooking fires is a big problem in our country. It pollutes the air and causes health problems, especially for women and small children." The principal placed the ribbon on Iqbal's solar cooker and shook the boy's hand. He had won first prize. After weeks of rain, bright days finally outnumbered gray ones. Monsoon season had come to an end, and so had Ramadan. Using the winning umbrella cooker and the new gas stove purchased with Iqbal's prize money, Amma and Sadia had been busy cooking for Eid al-Fitr, the feast to celebrate the end of the holy month. Abba handed his son the first serving of the family's favorite sweet dish, semai. Iqbal passed it to Sadia. After all, she had really been an excellent assistant. And just as a little extra note, this book does include at the end instructions for how to make a solar cooker from a pizza box. So if anyone is interested in getting those instructions, you can see me afterwards.
Sarah, were we able to have our contraption today?
It's too cold.
Too cold, okay.
But I did bring the stuff to make this.
Yeah, Sarah has a solar oven that she made when she was a high school science teacher, and we were going to make solar s'mores outside after the service, but it was a little too cold today. So.
I did bring the stuff.
Now is the time that we set aside for our offering in order to give toward the financial vitality of our community. Also, 25% of the undesignated collection each week goes to an organization in the local community that we partner with. For the month of March, we are partnering with Clemson Community Care. Each week, we also collect non-perishable foods for Clemson Community Care's food bank. You may also give by going to the UUFC website and use the donate button. There you will see options for paying your pledge and donating towards organizations that we partner with. Thank you for your generosity. Mm-hmm. And in addition to offering financial gifts, we also offer joys and concerns during our offertory, and today we have 4 that I will share with you. We have a joy from Elaine Faithful. Thank you to the members of UUFC for utterly amazing love and support. And I'm going to need to pull my glasses out. And I've asked Modi to put a stone in the bowl for each joy and concern shared. Mike Cole has a concern. Marguerite Kirsch is in a hospital over in Greenville. Please, if you have an opportunity to send your love energy towards her, that would be awesome. John Haynes, it's a joy and a concern, he says. We have a 6th grandchild, a granddaughter, as of 25th February. Any questions, come to me. Congratulations. And Rose Ellen Aguilar has a joy. Thank you, UUFC, for hosting the women's retreat held yesterday, and to all those who helped to make this event a joy. And I asked Modi to place one final stone for those joys and concerns that are held closer to the heart, and for those who are not with us this morning. And we'll sing our children on their way to religious education now. The words are going to be up on the screen for you. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. And Victor Young will be our first reflection shared.
My name is Victor Young. I live on the land that once belonged to the Eastern Cherokee. When people say that, I have really mixed feelings, although, thank you, Dave, humbly acknowledged. Wow. Usually, sometimes anyway, I feel peaceful. My great-great-grandmother was of the Cherokee, and it makes me wonder about her. On the other hand, it seems to me incredibly disingenuous to pretend to honor the people we stole the land from. The Cherokee didn't own the land. They were part of it. They didn't tear it up to take coal from it and burn and heat the very air that we breathe. They lived a sustainable life. I like the idea of honoring the relationship they had to the land. Unitarians have a long history of social justice. I was a member of the UU Arlington Street Church in Boston when I was younger. It was the first church to perform a same-sex marriage, the first church to offer sanctuary for a deserter and draft dodger in Vietnam. But his leadership wasn't about being first. It was about advocacy and action because it was the right thing to do. We are facing one of the greatest threats in human history. There's a strong consensus within the biological community that we are now in a mass extinction, the 6th in the planet's history. Unlike the other 5, it is not caused by collisions with big celestial bodies or supervolcanoes. It is caused by the recent activity of humans, a single species. Most of us are overwhelmed with what's happening to our planet. Bigger storms happening more often, droughts, wildfires caused by burning fossil fuels. Last year, I met an insurance salesman at a wedding on the North Shore of Boston. He told me that his company would no longer sell home insurance to anybody within 10 miles of the shore because the likelihood of storm damage had soared to a guarantee. My middle daughter is now pregnant. 1 year from today, her child will be starting to crawl. In that year, we will have added more than 7 billion tons of carbon to the air. At the current rate, when she's 27, the planet will be at least 3 degrees warmer. Maybe the way to honor those we dispossessed is to establish a healthy relationship to the environment and to help others do the same. Maybe we could do it to honor them. Maybe we can honor all our grandmothers and all our children. Maybe we can do our part. Thank you.
Hello, I'm John Hoskin. Next. So I'm up here to show a couple pictures and add a few words. What you're looking at here is, I want to go back one. What you're looking at here is essentially the homepage of the Electric Viking, Sam Evans, and he's been publishing videos, over 600 so far. We're not going to see all of them today. Anyway, he's Australian, and in 5 years, Australia will be, the power sources will be renewable up to 80% of the need. And it's only going to get better than that. Next. So the question here is, if China can install wind and solar equivalent of 5 nuclear plants per week, where are we? Can't we do something like that? Next. This is a Chinese wind farm. You can tell because of the indication on the pole. Next. So they also have solar panels and solar farms. We have one, Sarah and I have one within stone's throw where we live. Next. Required but not included are batteries. What you're looking at is the largest battery in the world. It's currently in Saudi Arabia as of last week. It's going to continue changing every week. There seems like there's a new, bigger one. Next. Solar panels on smaller buildings, etc., does provide some electrical power. It's relatively small, but it does contribute. Next. So one thing you may not be aware of, in really bad rain, they're still producing electricity. Sam Evans says, when it's raining cats and dogs, they're still producing enough electricity to power the whole house. Next. The next thing that's coming along is solar windows. So probably most buildings will be using solar windows, basically solar panels built into the window. Next. So the really big issue is for most of us here, the biggest change we'll experience in our lifetime will likely be the switch to electric vehicles. This is a list of the Chinese producers, and BYD is probably the biggest one in the left there. They're the largest ship right now to transport EVs will hold 9,200 vehicles, and I think they have 6 of them. And within a year, probably they will produce a full-size electric pickup, and that will probably be the end of Ford. You can also see Xpeng. They'll be in 60 countries pretty soon. A variety these companies aren't going to make it, but obviously most of them will. And they're producing the cars in China, which is one reason why they're less expensive to produce. Next. The real reason is there's very little parts, a number of parts in an EV. Basically, there's a compartment for the passengers, there's a battery, 4 wheels, and you can see a motor generator on both ends so it can be 4-wheel drive. And even that's going to change. Next. The wheels will become the motors so that they'll be taken out of the body of the car, and so you can see what that means for a motorcycle. This is the donut motorcycle. The back wheel is the electric motor. Next. So same thing's going to happen with trucks. Tesla is supposed to be able to produce about 50,000 per year in this country, and it works very well for Frito-Lay. Of course, the products are relatively light and bulky, but it works very well for Frito-Lay. They're cost effective even with a driver, and when you subtract the $80,000 for the driver, when they become autonomous, obviously they're going to be a lot more cost effective. Next. So the drivers really love these vehicles because it has twice the torque as a regular diesel, so they can pass all these other slow-moving trucks. And it's comfortable, and they have a much better view. Next. Of course, they have to have a source of power. Hyundai has a couple of chargers at their dealership in Anderson. Next, and of course you've seen maybe you've seen Tesla chargers. Next, the problem here though is we don't really have too many charging stations. That's all going to change over time. It's possible we might have a charger here, but it's going to change because gas stations will have to change as well. Either that or they're going to go out of business. Next. So, this is another page from the Electric Viking. Republican districts lose billions as energy cancellation surge. So what in the world is going on? There's a real problem here with not living in reality. Next. So, UUFC probably can't change the world, but we can lead the way, and isn't that what we're all about anyway? Thank you. So please rise. You're invited to rise in body or spirit to sing together Blue Boat Home, which about 8 years ago was the theme of Swim.
It's a video.
There's no need to rise or sing.
You're welcome to sing along if you'd like, but no need to rouse.
my dry land heart can sing. I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Blue boat
I want to acknowledge a special thanks to Peter Mayer for giving us permission to use his video during the service. Our next reflection is from Chin Fu Chen, who will join us now on Our Land, Love, and Justice.
Good morning. My name is Chin Fu Chen. We live in this upstate New York, upstate South Carolina. We were blessed with the Appalachian mountain range that protect us from the extreme polar winds of the winter, and we have beautiful lakes, Jocassee, Kiwi, Howell, and we are having enormous acres of green pasture and forest. That runs also in between beautiful rivers and tiny streams. The air is clean, the water is sweet. So we call it home. I love it here. And I got a feeling you love it too. But to preserve and to protect this land is not without challenge. So the current greatest threat to the environment is the global warming and climate change. The largest source to contribute to this climate change is so-called greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gas, the largest source is the fossil fuels, burning for the purpose of heating and transportation, and of course, electricity. So we at UU, we talk about justice, social justice, but we also have environmental justice. So this current political administration doesn't pay attention to the environment. In the name of economic development, they're going to open up more offshore drilling, fracking. These all contribute to the greenhouse gas. So, as us, what we can do to protect this land, to express our love. Yes, you can do by yourself, doing recycle, dry less fuel, gas, and do whatever you can. But that's just individual. Individual has a small impact. So, but if we do it collectively, like in UU, we do it together, we have a bigger impact on the environment. We have a bigger impact in reducing the fossil fuel use and reduce our carbon footprint. Currently, the US has 16 metric tons of carbon produced per person. If we do it collectively, like 100 something, we reduce that fossil fuel and carbon use. So it is my plea that we should do it together for the environment, and perhaps that's our legacy to the generation to come. Thank you.
My name is Modi Wetzler, and I want to talk to you about the economics of this and different types of economics. A completely reasonable question to ask is, what is the economic return? What is the payback on this investment? Because an investment, this surely is. There are variables still up in the air. There are multiple external grant sources that we could apply for, but from both the state of South Carolina and the federal government. But they are all on hold right now until people make up their minds in Washington. If they are brought back, and they have had historically very high bipartisan support, if they are brought back, we will vigorously pursue them. And if we exceed our fundraising goals, either through the internal fundraising or with these external grants, there are stretch goals that we can go for, such as EV charging stations, solar power for the Founder's House, and long-term maintenance funds. But to construct a budget, we currently have to assume no external support. And if that is the case, then we're talking about approximately a $50,000 investment and a 40 to 50-year payback period on that investment. And that's not a great economic motivator if you think about this as solely a dollar's investment. But I don't only invest in things that yield short-term economic benefits. My wife and I have two wonderful daughters that, despite the occasional desire to send them to work in a coal mine as punishment, we support financially without any expectation of an economic return, ever. We donate food to the Clemson Community Care, both through the church and through the elementary school, in part because I remember what it was like when at 17 my family rose above the federal poverty line. And we don't do that because we expect any payback. We also support this church, again, free of any expected return on investment, either financial or afterlife based. okay? So, for the longest time, I was a complete wallflower here at UUFC because I'm not a verbally or overtly spiritual person. But I realize I share values with the people in here more than almost anywhere else in the area. And so for the past couple of years, I've been engaging more and more with the people and the community of this church. I've realized that we want to become a beacon of rationality and hope and acceptance amidst the seas of misinformation and hatred that sometimes spread around. And as the U.S. withdraws from the Paris Climate Agreement, and the short-sighted continue to burden future generations with their failures of leadership, our fellowship stands out. We want to embody the ideals that you have heard and will hear my friends and colleagues speak about today. But the words, "put your money where your mouth is," keep echoing through my mind, okay? And that is ultimately my economic decision, to put my money where my mouth is. I want to be part of and financially support an effort to be an environmental leader in this community, to put solar panels on Pendleton Road where every single driver can see a house of worship leading the way with their solar panels. And that way we can hopefully chart a bright way forward in these dark times. Thank you. And our last speaker is Bill Brew.
I'm stiff. Good morning. Been sitting too long. Thank you. I'm going to try it now. Oh, that's right. Now I have too many things to hold. When my wife died, I realized I needed a community. My only choice was the UUFC because I knew the best people are always to be found in a UU fellowship. It's not just flattery, it's true. The thoughtful, humane, best educated people are here, and you make things happen. Your design for our parking lot reveals the perfect alternative to asphalt. More organizations should copy it. No other organization I know dedicates itself to a green future and dealing with climate change like you use. No one else demonstrates how ordinary people can lead. Others, why? I'm just one person. What can I do? The answer is UU moral leadership shows the way. I'm not holding it high enough? Is that right? I really prefer to do it this way. Touching. 2 events in the last week convinced me we have a moral obligation to our communities and to our children to take the lead where others feel helpless. Our federal president, at a conference with mostly young, white people, bragged to them that he took the USA out of the Paris Climate Accords. And he saved $1 trillion, he said. The crowd roared, clapped, and cheered their approval. He glowed with the ugly success of a terribly effective brutal leadership that persuades our young to believe in money and profit instead of doing the best for our community and our children. It is immoral and tells us the time has come to act. At a second event, he triumphantly signed an order opening up all fossil fuel reserves underground and undersea to U.S. control for exploration. Thereby he ended restrictions ordered by President Biden. That single executive order is immoral, given the discoveries of science and our responsibility to our descendants. And that is why I am ready to contribute my personal resources to install a solar system on this church. I'm convinced it will influence friends and neighbors and provide a principled legacy for our children. I want to show others they can work to protect the glorious planet we inherited from our parents. And that we must act in face of Mr. Trump's rotten decisions. Solar provides us with an opportunity to demonstrate to those who know us that solar provides a way to act against ugly national leadership. We can act to show the way forward. This is not an investment in profits, although we may pay less in electric bills. No, we are investing in leadership. My daughter and her husband invested huge sums in total solar. Everything in their house is solar powered, including 2 electric automobiles. When the power went out for 2 weeks, they continued to live comfortably and welcome neighbors in from rain, fire, and cold. They're not New Year's. But they showed what we can do if we go solar. We'll be able to provide a place for our neighbors in the hottest summers when Duke shuts down. And that will be to our profit. I hope you will stay in your seats for a question and answer period. We won't take too long, and after we finish here, we can continue in the social room.
So do we have questions?
That's happening.
Dave?
Go ahead. And when you have your hand up, please wait till the microphone gets to you so the people online can hear you.
We, if you have your hand out, open your little envelope that you were handed, and it gives a brief description on page 1 of the project, and then the back side, flip side, is your the other side is, yeah. So get your hand out. Now I apologize if you came in a bit late. I can get those to you in a minute.
All right, we have one question here.
Let me preface my question. Well, I'm a big supporter of getting carbon out of our atmosphere. We are in the geologic end and unseen. We are heading toward doom for most of the planet now. I've heard all the economics on the payout, but what's the carbon payout? In other words, refineries are going to have to make all the products that are going to be used in the manufacture of these panels. They're going to have to be transported and installed. Every kilowatt that comes off the grid has got a carbon footprint attached to it right now. How many kilowatts, how long will these have to function to offset the power they produce?
We have an expert here that can talk about that. Preston Johnson from Earthwave Renewables, who's a solar installer and does solar panels for a living. So he's the CEO of Earthwave, and I've asked Preston to answer that question for you, Marty.
So just to clarify, the question was how long will it take for the solar system to offset, I guess, the amount of carbon? Can you hear me?
There's a huge carbon footprint attached to building solar panels and installing them. Directionally, they're still the right way to go, no matter what. I'm not arguing that. I'm just curious. How long do they produce electricity before we get to a break-even point? Because we're going to put carbon in the atmosphere making these things.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So actually, the facility that we utilize, our manufacturer for the solar panels, is actually somewhat local. They're located in Spartanburg, South Carolina. You met Rick Joy a little earlier. He's our operations director with Sustaining Way. We actually have field trips where we take kids over to that manufacturing center. It's called KB Solar. And I would actually like to invite, we can probably set something up to have the congregation come out and tour that facility. But it's actually a solar-powered manufacturing facility. So it offsets, there is really no carbon offset from it.
The solar manufactures plastic?
What's that, I'm sorry? Oh, you mean like with the aluminum and all that?
Well, the metal in the wires is made from a plant that burns natural gas. The insulation is plastic that comes from an oil refinery. That's what I'm saying. So there's carbon, well, not huge, but it's directionally the right way to go anyway.
Yeah.
But how many years do we? I always hear about the dollar offset. When do you break even money-wise? But we as UUs are worried about the carbon in our atmosphere. So when do we break even on that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I'm actually, I'm going to look into that and get back to you guys. We have an open house. What is that, on the 16th? 16th? I'll have an answer for you when I come back. But we can look at everything from, like I said, the aluminum, the wiring, all that, and I will have an answer.
A little bit on that. I mean, I won't be able to give you exact numbers, but as he said, so we partner with Earthwave Renewables. They're actually working with us from Sustaining Way with one of our resiliency centers in New Washington Heights. So it really depends on the size you choose. So because you guys haven't decided exactly what size, 9 kilowatts, 10 kilowatts. It depends on where all that's sourced. As he said, with Earthwave and Sustaining Way, we've been working with the local. As much as we can provide local, it's going to reduce that carbon footprint. So to be able to answer that question, you've got to get into the details. Right? It's not something we're going to be able to say here today. But and again, you've got the time span of the panels and so on. But it is something you can calculate. So it depends on the size. The larger you do, the better it's going to be, right? Because once you start putting solar panels in place,
and I think the sooner we do it, the better it is.
Right, all that, because you're paying it off, right?
Thank you. Hold your mouth really close to the microphone, please.
Yeah, I would just like to mention one other problem is how many years are the panels good for, and then what can you do when the panels have served their life? So all these questions really are very complicated questions, of course, but there are all kinds of problems, of course.
Yeah, but totally relevant also. So the life of these panels, I'll start with the warranty. So they're warranted for 25 years. Life expectancy is around 40. So they will last a good bit of time.
Can they be recycled in some way? Or there's all kinds of problems.
Yeah, no, that's a good question as well. So I think the biggest thing comes down to the amount of time that solar has really kind of boomed here in the United States. And so there are companies who specialize in solar panel recycling. And as we continue to adopt more and more solar, that's going to have to pick up, absolutely.
So as far as recycling of solar, just to kind of reinforce that, so when you have an industry that's only been around for a couple decades and everything, if it's lasting 40 years, even 40 years, it can last longer than that. You just have degradation towards that end. So technology is going to change. The expectation, if you're anything you have 40 years later, the technology is going to be so far advanced. Even though you may be getting power out of it, you're probably going to say, well, financially, it makes sense for us to change over, right? And then it's mainly silica, right? Your sand. So from a disposal standpoint, a like we said, recycling in 40 years is also going to be significantly different, but as far as impact on the environment, yeah, you'll have it paid off.
So I just wanted to ask a quick question about the carbon footprint. Does the power we use now produce any carbon? Like, have we looked into where the power source comes from? Because nuclear energy is renewable, it doesn't produce carbon. And so, has anyone looked into where the power from the church currently comes into to kind of understand that carbon footprint?
It depends on how you look at it. We normally, off the cuff, say we get our power from nuclear in the Piedmont. The truth is we get our power from a grid. The grid in South Carolina is about 50% nuclear and a little bit solar, and about 50% coal. So if we save some energy from Duke to put into the grid, potentially, or you can project that we are reducing the amount of coal burning to make that energy. So you're going to hear a lot, and it depends on how you look at it. Basically, coal is, to answer your question, is about 800 grams, a pound and a half of coal generates a kilowatt. This is a way out average, but solar is 10 grams per kilowatt. So it's going to save a little bit in the scheme of the whole thing, but if we can get every church in South Carolina to do it, that's measurable. If we can get every church in the country to do it, that's big. I don't know if that answers your question.
And nuclear has its issues too, right? So understand nuclear has its issues too. There is no, from a waste standpoint, we don't have a good solution for that. And I know I've met with communities where they're struggling right now in Georgia, everything from Savannah, Riverside, all the nuclear waste that's filtering into the streams and the drinking water, and cancer rates going up. So it's not free either, even though once it's built, you from a carbon standpoint, it is a good thing, I guess, from a carbon standpoint.
Uranium is not renewable.
Is this on? Can anybody hear? Okay, I kind of been in on the emails and things going around about this. I'm glad to keep up with it. But one of the things that was stated, that one of the components would be a battery, and it was mentioned a Tesla battery. And I think it'd be better if we could get something other than Tesla.
I can answer that. I have personally spoken with each vendor that I've worked with and asked for quotations that did not include Tesla products. So I kind of already anticipated that question and made sure that the quotations that we received to build our budget were Tesla free. And actually, most of the times, the non-Tesla option was less expensive too.
I'd like to hear more about resilience and our role in the community, and our past experiences in the couple of past years with people losing power and being a beacon to the community as a whole.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? We switched mics. So resilience. So with Sustaining Way, that's one of our biggest missions. Like I said, I'm with Earthwave Renewables, but I work really closely with Rick and the team over at Sustaining Way. And what we're doing in communities across the upstate is actually building resiliency centers. And that was really highlighted the need for that after this most recent storm back in October, which knocked out power for about 2 weeks for a lot of folks, okay? We had communities that we serve where they were without power, their food went bad, they had to vacate their homes and go to friends and families' houses. So what we're doing in some of these communities is at churches and community centers, building solar, batteries, refrigeration for food preservation. And really what it does, it opens up an opportunity to bring people in, right? If we talk about churches and houses of worship like this one, having people come in a time of need, in a time of crisis, and be able to have fresh food, have heating and air conditioning when it's needed, have lights, and be able to, just have a place of comfort during a trying time. That's also a good opportunity to really spread the message, that you guys are trying to spread. And really that's what we're trying to achieve here with that combination of solar and battery. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, so we gave a summary of resiliency centers that we'll add to. Dave's going to send it out, so that'll give you a summary of that. But it's just the basics there. What do we need, and it gets you through 5 to 7 days. It all depends on what you install, and it is a journey, right?
Yeah, I'll take his handout and put it in our weekly newsletter. So Thursday you should be able to see some of the facts and details about Resilience Center. So give you a good reason to read your newsletter Thursday.
I'm next. Great, so you want $50,000. I want to know who's maintaining this.
I can speak directly to that as the chair of the Planned Giving Committee. There are already provisions in our policies and procedures to allow the Planned Giving Committee to manage project funds and administer those project funds through that committee. So the committee will safeguard and shepherd those funds to the proper uses, and it will have to have proper documentation before any of the funds can be utilized out of that. And yeah.
So I'm assuming there's a yearly maintenance contract attached to this?
The maintenance part of it, there's a yearly cleaning, a checkout that needs to be done just to make sure everything's still working properly, but I don't know of any contracts, so I'll ask Preston to speak about that.
No, this is a great question. So for a center like this, what we have certain things that are installed into the system to get visibility into system production and efficiency, right? And so anybody here in the church, that is, needs access to that, you guys would have that. We would also have that as well, me and my partners that I work with. So anytime there is an issue, we would be able to identify that immediately and then come out and get that taken care of. Now, in terms of the price, there really is no price, right? It comes with a 5-year workmanship warranty. If there's anything related to that, if there's anything related to the solar panels, like I said, that is covered for 25 years. And I believe the inverter is, I got to double check on the inverter, but that's between 10 and 25-year warranty as well. So any issues that could potentially pop up with the system within the lifespan of that warranty, it will be taken care of. And we would have full visibility to be able to monitor and make sure everything's producing the way it's supposed to.
We have a question here. Okay.
I'm sorry.
How often do these panels get damaged because of rain and hail and vandalism?
We'll come back to that.
So vandalism won't be an issue because it's going to be on the roof, but rain and hail?
Yeah. So, I can speak, so at our Resiliency Center in Greenville, we've had our solar panels for 7 years, 0. The rain pretty much cleans it off. So you don't have, if you do, and I don't know how close your trees are, I haven't looked to where you're going to have the panels, pollen, things like that will get on it. It depends on the type of trees. If you've got something that's going to have a stickiness to it, then you're going to have to clean it more, right? So you'll have to kind of look at that as far as what you have right near it. But for ours, we haven't had any need for cleaning. We do monitor, same thing, we can see what the energy output is, so we can monitor that. If we see it drop, we know we need to clean, but we have not cleaned in 7 years. We haven't seen any drop in production over that time frame. And no maintenance we've had over those 7 years as well.
Question back here.
Hey, I'd like to ask a question. One thing I find a little bit ironic is that the first thing that you folks are going to be doing is cutting down a tree. But equally, I have a folder on solar panels since we have them at our house down at the beach. And in there, I found a little note that there must have been a committee at the fellowship looking into solar panels and the first thing they said was, well, what we need to do is get the efficiency of our HVAC systems up to snuff. And I would like to know, has that been done?
I've got that, yeah. Kathy Crane actually mentioned to me that there was an effort in the past to put solar panels up. All of our HVAC systems since that time have been replaced because they got to the end of their life. And each time one of them was replaced, it was replaced with the most efficient, highest SEER rating unit that was available on the market at the time. So we have made great progress on that part. There's also been a lot of insulation, extra insulation blown into the attic. We've changed LED bulbs to reduce our demand. Changed 2 LED bulbs for the majority of our bulbs, so we still might have a few left to do, but there's been a lot of effort already to reduce our consumption profile on the consumption side.
Dave, could you also address the tree?
Yeah, the tree, well, maybe Meg can address the tree. I think she's been wanting to get that tree cut down for quite a number of months or years from the grounds committee.
Vendetta.
It's not a personal vendetta, it just kind of aesthetically, I don't like the way that tree looks next to the other tree. And I think that tree, I don't know, I don't see any problem.
This is the evergreen right here that you can see out the back window. It looks like a cypress or...
Yeah, it's a cypress, not the holly with the beautiful berries, but the cypress with lots of ugly brown dieback in it.
So that tree's coming down whether or not we raise a single dollar and install any solar panels.
And when it comes down, I'll replace it with 2 saplings in the nursery.
All right. Actually, I'm debating whether I should ask a question. But the reason I'm going to ask is I'm going to show the solar team thought about everything. So the question I'm asking is more in a moral sense. So we are spending, say, what is budget? 50,000. It's a large investment or large commitment for our small, relatively small. We have about 100 members here. Can we put the money somewhere else? Like there are hungry people on the street. There are poor school kids need school supply. For instance, Sierra Club will say they were going to help some hungry, some children, and the Rotary Club at Clemson, they decide to devote their resources to help school kids so they can learn better. So we as a UU, we decide not to do those things. As human as they look like, we gonna put a solar panel. Why? Is morally stronger or morally justified not put the money in those relative like urgent need? We are putting into the long-term view. Okay, so that's my question. By the way, I was a forester. So you cut down a tree, it's not a problem. Just plant more trees. So we still have environmental sound policy. So cut down a small tree is not a really a big problem.
Do we have more questions?
We have like one last question. This is it, because we're out of time.
Okay,
And you need to speak very close to the mic.
Just speaking. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's right, $50,000 is a lot of money for solar panels, but the question is, are there any alternatives to accomplishing the same goals? For example, you can get a lot of heat out of black roof and just cycling in the heat from the black roof. I don't know how the roof is. Are we thinking about solar panels on what, this side and on this side, or how many solar panels are we thinking about installing? And are there any other alternatives?
Yeah, in your envelope, it'll say how many panels roughly. It's going to be somewhere between 20 and 25 panels. It'll be on this roof section right out here that faces south, just above where you walk in the door. Just above there, just that one section. And Rick, thank you very much. I know you have to go, and I appreciate you being here. So just the last quick thing, the panels would go right above this south-facing section of roof. As you walk in the door, you'd be walking under the panels to come in. And we would replace the shingles under on that one section of roof to give the roof life the same life as the solar panels, because the roof is about mid-life, so it's going to need to be replaced in the next 8 to 12 years. So that we wanted to make sure we didn't have to take panels off after we put them on. So thank you all for your engaged questions. We will go ahead and close the service. There is, in our closing words, and I'll ask Bill to come extinguish the chalice as I read the closing words. There's a fable that I'm sure many of you have heard that begins with a young boy standing on a beach. The beach is choked with suffocating starfish, and the boy is tossing them one by one back into the waves. Someone finds him at the task and eyeing the thousands of prickly creatures on the beach, still waiting to be helped, and tells him, "You'll never make a difference." "Oh," the boy says as he throws another one back in, "I just made a difference to that one." So go in peace, return in love. Amen.
And we can continue our
yes.
Q&A in the social room.
Thank you all.
More of these back there too if you didn't get one. So, okay?
There you go.
He called this song. He called this song. It's alright. Little darling, if in a child to take faith. Little darling, if in the time since you've been here. He called this song. He called this song. It's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, lonely winter. Little darling, it's been like this since you've been here. He called this song. He called this song. It's alright. Song, 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 here he comes. Song, 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 here he comes. Song, 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 here he comes. Little darling, dinner with now is slowly melting. Little darling, it feels like this is you be here. He called this song. He called this song. It's alright. It's alright.
All right.